Good morning, everyone. I believe that we are all enjoying ourselves, and it was a really great experience listening to Mr. Olusegun Oyetunji. I myself had to learn a lot of things also about relationship and all that. How we put our behaviors out there in public. Let's go straight to the conversation of the day, which is ISO 27001, which in other way we call Information Security Management System. That's ISMS. So when you hear me say ISMS, I'm still talking about ISO 27001. So permit me to share my screen so we can see exactly the conversations that we are having today. All right, I believe we can see my screen.
Not yet, it's still loading. So now I can. ISO IEC 27001 2020 Information Security Management System.
Okay, yeah. All right. So if we, as we said, the conversation we're having is about the foundational, conversations on ISO 27001. And let me quickly say this, because this class itself is supposed to be a week class, like from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. for throughout the week. So we have to shrink the conversation for 1 hour. So there are some things that I might not speak extensively about, but I will do well to just over around them and just create an awareness about what each of those concepts really speak about. And the objective or what we want to learn today, there are 4 things. One of which is understanding the purpose and benefits of ISO 27001, by identifying key components and structure of ISO 27001, then explain core information security principles. Then 4, we describe the requirements for establishing and maintaining an information security itself. So for the first aspect, we divide it into 4 or so, probably defining what ISO 27001 or ISMS is, an overview, updates to recent version, benefits of implementing the standard itself. So when we say what is ISMS, so ISMS is more like a systematic approach, that organizations tend to, adopt whenever they want to ensure the safety of their information. Now, when I mean safety, we're looking at the security of that information. So there are 3 concepts that we basically look at when we are talking about information security. We call them the CIA triad. And CIA, sometimes we might look at it like CIA is this American CIA. No, it's not American CIA. We're looking at it from the standpoint of confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Now, these 3 things are one of the things that make us believe that whoever is handling our information is going to put security into consideration whenever they are handling such information. And confidentiality, when we hear confidentiality, it really says that if I share an information with you, for instance, and that information is supposed to be with you only, I'm not supposed to, you are not supposed to share that information with another person. So that is the basic overview of what confidentiality is. It means that within this meeting, if I say, right, I want to share an information with Mr. Olusegun, for instance, and it's just an information that I share with only him. So it means that that information is supposed to be for him only and nobody else. So it's in the situation where some other person gain access to that information. It means that confidentiality has been breached. That's what that really explains. So when we talk about integrity really focuses on the completeness or the accuracy of the information. It means that if I share an information with Mr. Olusegun now, and I say, my name is Damilare, and when he's, for instance, when he's going to either give the information back or send the information to another person, and the information still reads, my name is Damilare, then you can say that that information is complete. But a situation where he now interpret the message as, he said his name is Damilare. That information has lost its completeness. You can see that you mean, they can practically sound the same way. They can mean the same thing, but the accuracy of the information or the completeness of the information has been altered. So by then we say the integrity of that information has been breached. So when we now talk about availability, it means that that information itself, the set of people that are supposed to have access to that information, as at when they need that information, the information is supposed to be available. So for instance, an information has been shared, that, okay, we are going to have an assessment, for instance, and at the point of sharing that information, it is not available for the set of people that are supposed to have access to that. Then we can say that ability also have been breached, as the case may be. So this CIA triad, it's very important, or is it's more like it's the foundation of where information security is really built on as well. Because if your information is not secure, if you don't apply confidentiality to your information, if you don't have, if the integrity of that information is not maintained, or the information itself is not available, then we can say that information security is not really being practiced or adopted in such a system. So, so the purpose really is to really emphasize on the CIA, ensuring that your data is only accessible by authorized individuals, they are accurate at every point in time, and they are available upon request by those set of persons that are supposed to have access to it. Then, we see the component of ISMS. The components, especially when it comes to either implementation, adoption or auditing, the components are, documentation and records, security controls, risk assessment and management, information security policies and procedures. So why we tend to look at these four basic components of the ISMS itself is, at every point in time, there are going to be documentations or records or evidences that we call evidences that we are going to supply for either the implementation of such requirements. There are several requirements in the standard, which spans from clause 4 to clause 10. We will get to that area very soon. So those requirements are actually what the standard prescribes, that for an organization who want to practice information security, or an individual who want to practice information security, those are the approach to which you can look at the requirement itself. And all of these requirements are actually what we boxed into these four categories, which is your documentation and your records. It means that if you are going to practice some of the requirements, you should have evidence of of your practice, evidence of adoption of such management system or such requirements, as the case may be. So there should be documentation, there should be records. Then also risk assessment and management. Now, you and I can attest that when it comes to management, when it comes to, you are trying to say building a security for your information, the concept of building security comes from you identifying that there could be certain challenges or certain things that could affect your information, certain things that could affect the confidentiality, the integrity, and the availability of your information. Now, all of these are conducted through your risk assessment and management. And these assessments, they tend to expose the areas that are vulnerable to attacks, areas that are, that threats can really exploit within the organization or, within the management system itself. So the concept behind risk assessment is adopted when we look at all the components of the ISMS. When I mean components of the ISMS, not this component I mean, but I mean all the components of the ISMS is the components of the organization that relates to the ISMS. Now, there are going to be interpretation of most of these components to the organization itself. So if you have documentation and record, the question is what documentation or what record? So when we now follow the standard itself, the standard highlights, there are some particular things which I will go to next, which is security controls, that speaks about different aspects of the organization or different controls that should be in place. And all of these controls, there is need for us to conduct some assessments in terms of what are the things that could go wrong in this particular area and how exactly can we fix those issues before it is being exploited by an external person. So in general terms, information security is brought into light just because we don't want somebody to gain access to our information, somebody that is not authorized. And we do everything either proactively, correctional wise. We do everything to ensure that this does not happen. That unauthorized person does not have access to our information. And so security controls are the kind of controls that we put in place to ensure that, yes, we've done our risk assessment and we realize that there is tendency for some areas of our organization to be exploited as a result of the vulnerability in that area. And so those controls, those security controls tend to help us, block that vulnerability. An example of that is, let's say, for instance, we are all in a room, like we're about 50 people in a room, and the room does not have a door, does not have a window. It means that there is no restriction to who can come into that room. Anybody can come into that room. But a situation where we have doors, we have windows, that is restriction. That is restriction itself, and that alone is to make us understand that there is a control in place. That means there is a when it comes to the set of persons to that space, there's a limit to the persons that can come into that space. And also, probably we are going to have a tag. Maybe we have a biometric door, for instance, and we give access to whoever wants to come, give them access card that anytime they want to come into that that office, they just swipe in their card. So that card that they are swiping in explains that they are supposed to be in that environment. So that specific controls that is put in place to show that people that are supposed to be in that environment, they are there at the right time. Then information security policies and procedures. Now, policies and procedures, they are kind of two different things. Policies really speak about, the what the organization wants to achieve. Yes, when it comes to certain areas in the organization, whether it comes to information deletion, whether it comes to data leakage prevention, whether it comes to data masking, whether it comes to your password, whether it comes to so many information like that. So those are your policies. But when it comes to procedures really explain how they are very important components when we are talking about our ISMS. Your policies and your procedures, they are very important components of the ISMS. Then also we see the overview of the history of the ISO 27001 standard. So the introduction, it started from, the origin is from BS 7799, the initial framework for the information.
Sorry for the break in transmission. I think his network just yanked him out and he'll be back shortly. So let's give him a few minutes to reconnect. Sorry for the delay. We're not in control of the network connection, so just bear with us, please. Thank you very much. Okay, I guess he's back.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
All right. Yes, we can hear you now.
All right, apologies for that. This is actually one of the things that we are even discussing today, network. Yeah. So when you see network failure like this, it's one of the challenges that information security sometimes do face. So permit me, and I apologize for that. So let me share my screen and continue from there. All right, I believe you can see my screen. Can we see my screen, please?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
All right, thank you very much. So initially, the management system was BS 7799. That was the initial framework for information security, and it's been adopted as an ISO standard in 2005, and it was revised to 2013 version. They update to align with new security challenges and standard. So recently, the versions that we have now is 2022, which reflects, current cybersecurity landscapes, and also puts into consideration the challenges that technology does really face in this time. So that's will. So I want to skip some slide. That's why I'm explaining from here. So the explanation are still here. So probably we can look at that on our own. So we have the time to look at it ourselves so that we don't beat around the bush in that area. So key changes, when it comes to key changes and updates for the 2022 version. So we see major changes like from the annex, control restructuring, a situation where some of the controls, so initially the controls that we have in annex, or basically, let's explain it this way.
Hello, Mr.
The
Damle.
standard itself is divided.
Hello, Mr. Dari. Can you hear me?
Hello? Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you loud and clear. Should I continue? Hello, can we hear me, please?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So the standard itself is divided into 5 different aspects. The new standard, the new 2022 version is divided into 5 different aspects. And the first aspect is the clauses. We call them the clauses, which starts from clause 4 to clause 10. And the second part of it, or 4 are the controls, but we divide the controls into 5 segments, one of which is organizational control, which in total has 37 controls in total. Then the other one, we have the people's control, which are 8 controls in total. The next one, we have the physical control, which are 14 controls in total. And next, we have the technical controls, which are about 34 controls in total. And altogether, all the controls for the 2022 version is 93. But initially, it was 114 controls. So while changing it from 2013 version to 2024, 22 version rather, some controls were merged together and 11 new controls were now introduced to in addition to the existing controls. So some controls were merged together, some controls were, one way or the other, they were fused into other controls and see exactly how, because they sound kind of, maybe the evidences to supply for most of them, they are similar. So they tend to like merge those controls together and introduce 11 new controls as the case may be. So basically, those are the changes. Then when it comes to the clauses also, there were some clauses also that were, explained further. There were, concepts that were introduced into all those clauses so that proper understanding also can be captured in that area as the case may be. So part of the new controls introduced is threat intelligence, information security classes, data retention, configuration management, secure coding. The list is endless in that area. So talking about benefits of implementing 27001, first, it enhanced data security and risk reduction because information security management system focused on risk assessment, is focused on risk assessment and treatment itself. So the ability to reduce, or the tendency of reducing our risk or eliminating some of it if possible, is actually what is being considered here. And by doing such, it means that our focus also is
Sorry
on
to
data
cut you,
security.
Mr. Dami. Sorry. Hello, can you
Please
hear
go
me,
on,
sir?
sir. Loud and clear, sir.
Sorry, due to the network issue, I would just advise probably you can turn off the video, so it's because to an extent sometimes it glitches, so we cannot hear you clearly. So it will be smoother. That's why I was giving that option to probably now you can proceed,
Okay,
sir. Thank
okay.
you very
All right. Apologies for that. The next one, talk about regulatory compliance. Now, one of the important reasons why organizations tend to, implement 27001 is for compliance, because for instance, if you're in the banking sector, you want to be compliant with CBN, for instance, with regards to some of these standard or this framework, cybersecurity, the NIST framework, all of those things. For you to practice in the banking sector or in the financial sector, those regulatory compliance is necessary for one to have. And that's why 27,001, once you have it, it means that it covers large areas of how you handle your assets, your information security assets. It gives an overview of what you have in place, or the controls that you have set in place as well, with regards to all of the hard sets
much.
that we
Hello.
have in the organization. All right, is anybody speaking? All right. Then also it increases our customer and stakeholder trust. Now, once customers can understand that in the organization we practice data security, and we are focused on reducing the risk that we encounter, or the impact of that risk on on our operation, on our objective, the business objective itself, it tends to give them some kind of trust and confidence in the ability that we can actually keep their information and keep their resources, as the case may be. So that's one of the benefits of information security. Then also operational efficiency and business resilience. Now, when we have certain tools or technologies that are being in place to help us achieve some aim, to help us achieve some particular task, they tend to speed up our operation and make it much more effective and efficient, and also resilient, in the sense that when there are challenges, when there are disruption within the business, it means that we would have put in some controls or some plans in place to ensure that when this disruption does happen, it does not really stop the business, that the business is still moving. Then alignment with business goals. Now, if we are implementing ISO 27001 and it does not align with our business goal, then automatically it means we are just implementing it for fun. So every standard that is being implemented, whether all the ISO standard, whichever one that is going to be implemented, is supposed to be done from the standpoint of aligning with the business goals. And when we say business goals, we are saying that what exactly does the organization want to achieve? Maybe for the financial year, maybe it's their business strategy for the next 10 years. Now, strategies, the information must align with those strategies to ensure that, yes, we are not doing this implementation in silos. We are not doing it in isolation. So we are doing it so that it can really affect, or probably bring much more benefit to our organization. Then competitive advantage. For organizations that have that implement 27,001, it kind of give them an advantage over organizations that do not have it, because it means that your customers will know that you have all it takes to keep their information, to keep their money, to keep their whatever resources that they have within your disposal, that you have all it takes to keep those information, as the case may be. So the second module is really talking about, the core concepts of information security, which I think I did explain the other time about the CIA triad, the confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So that we don't too much waste time on that, let's go to the next one. So risk management basics. So here, just do an overview of risk management, the key concept and all of that. So risk management is central to effective information security strategy. It means
Sorry about the network break. Let's give him a few minutes while he reconnects. The network has really been hectic this morning. I hope he gets better and would continue the class shortly while he reconnects.
apologies for that. Apologies for that. So the risk management really emphasizes on identifying, analyzing, and addressing risks to minimize their impact on whatever assets that the organization tend to have. And look at the three concepts: identifying, analyzing, and addressing it. So the first identification is probably you have assets. You have assets within the organization that that enable you to carry out every aspect of the operation within the organization. So risk assessment is conducted on each of those assets. So while we're conducting that assessment, we tend to identify where risk exactly is, or what risk can we really derive from these assets. So it might be from a preventive aspect and also from a corrective aspect. So preventive in a sense that we've not encountered any risk, or we've not encountered any challenges yet with regards to those assets. But then what is the possibility that those risks or those challenges, we can experience them? So that's what we do while we are trying to identify. So while we finish identifying, then we analyze that particular asset. We compare it with, look at the framework that really help us to handle risk assessment, the ISO 27005, or we look at ISO 31000, that really help us to look at how we can really analyze that risk and addressing that risk, making sure that we put in controls to minimize that risk, or to eradicate that risk completely if possible within that asset. So the components or the concepts that we look at for here, we look at the risk itself, which is the potential for a threat to exploit any vulnerability that can cause harm to the organization. So the possibility of a threat to explore or exploit a vulnerability. So when we say threat now, threat is actually anything that exploits vulnerability, which compromise, what information that we have within the organization. An example of threats could be malware. So when we hear malware, most of the time we always think antivirus, we always think of virus. So virus is an aspect of malware. So there are so many of them. We can have Trojan, so many, the list is endless. And also phishing, which is one of the, the areas where people get attacked easily when it comes to people getting information from them, and especially, I'm sure some of us, we like to watch football very well, and we don't want to buy maybe DSTV, we don't want to use those decoder, and we go to those free websites, and you see so many pop-ups on those websites. And when you mistakenly click those pop-up, one of the things that you don't know is you are exposing, it's a vulnerable aspect, that you are exposing your strong points to such, such platform. Because while you are looking at it, you might be looking at something different, but in the back end, they are getting access to your information. There's something that we call reconnaissance when it comes to vulnerability assessment and penetration testing in ethical hacking. So we tend to find every information about a particular target. We want to know exactly where you are, certain information that could point us to, let's say, for instance, I want to gain access to, an organization. I want to know where they host their, their website. I want to know, certain information, net block, all those information. I want to know those information. It means that once we are online or once we are, having access to, the internet, we should be very careful about phishing. So it means that any email sent to you that you are not expecting, you are not supposed to click. Anything that you see that it's none of your business to gain access to them, you are not supposed to click on all of those things. And that's why sometimes we advise organizations to do a phishing simulation within the organization after doing awareness sessions, that just to be sure that everyone have that knowledge about what phishing could really cost the organization or even individuals too. So vulnerability is a weakness in the system, process, or people that exploited, which could be if you have a weak password, if your password is poor. If, for instance, you are bearing Damilare and your password to maybe your bank account or to your, those critical information that you have is still starting by your name, and you are writing Damilare as a password, definitely people can guess it. And when they guess that password, it means that whatever you have apologies for that once again. Apologies for that. So quickly, impact. Impact talked about the potential consequence or the consequences that such organization or person tend to encounter when they are being breached or when they are being attacked, as the case may be, which could really bring about financial loss, reputational damage. It could damage a whole lot of things, as the case may be. So those are the concepts that we tend to look at for our risk. Then also we look at the identification, which I mentioned the other time, risk identification, the assessment, which is the analyzing, the treatment option. It's to how we implement controls to reduce the likelihood and the impact of such a risk. So when we talk about likelihood really focus on the probability that that particular risk is going to happen. So that's what we see when it comes to likelihood. Then acceptance is talking about the, the threshold to which we can accept that risk. We can say that, okay, as an organization, when it comes to our information security, our risk appetite or risk acceptance is low, or our risk acceptance is medium. Nobody wants to have accept and high risk. And high risk will disrupt your business, and high risk will close your business entirely. Even to some extent, medium risk also could close your business. So most times people prioritize the low risk approach, so that if any challenges happen, they treat that risk to the barest minimum, to the extent that they can feel safe that this cannot really affect anything within the organization again. So avoidance, transfer. So risk, the approach to which we mitigate our risk, or the approach to which we accept our risk acceptance, is either we look at, there are four concepts that we look at for here. We look at, as I explained the previous one, which is acceptance. So risk treatment, we have either mitigation, acceptance, and we have also avoidance and transfer. Mitigation is you correcting that risk. Acceptance is you accepting the risk. Maybe it falls within the threshold that you have defined. Then avoidance is eliminating the risk by changing the process completely. And when it comes to transfer, transfer is you outsource the risk now. Maybe you have another organization. Let's say, for instance, you do not have a data center as a bank. You don't have a data center, and you realize that the cost of building one is going to be much more expensive, and you decide to just you go via the cloud and you adopt AWS to house your resources, whether from your storage or your servers and all of those conversations, you outsource it to them. So that means every risk within those assets, you have transferred that risk to an organization. So when you are conducting your risk assessment in that area, you are going to look at it from maybe the agreement that you have with some third party, or how sure are you that it can manage your assets very well. Then continuous monitoring. This is an important approach in information security that everything that you have implemented, everything that you have adopted within the organization, there is need for continuous monitoring. And it helps really to see if some areas are functioning properly or if they are not. So areas that are not functioning properly, it tends to really address those issues almost immediately. And also it helps also to see new threats that are emerging or new vulnerabilities, because when it comes to information security, when it comes to IT generally, you can't say the attacks or the type of vulnerability that exists some years back, that they are still only the one that is happening now. There are so many new vulnerabilities that is that we are seeing now that people can exploit so easily, especially within the hacking environment. There are so many things that could be vulnerable. So it's something that is ongoing, and it's something that, as much as the bad guys are detecting ways to hack our accounts, we are detecting ways to secure our account, as the case may be. And the importance of risk assessment or risk management is to ensure resources are allocated efficiently to protect our critical assets, in alignment information security efforts, aligning information security efforts with our business objectives. As I said initially, if our business objectives is not aligning with whatever security, information security concept that we have introduced, automatically it's more like a waste of time. So everything information security implemented must align with our business objectives, so it can relate with our business. So you cannot use an information security approach from another organization for a different organization. No, you have to use it if it aligns with their business objectives or business strategy, as the case may be. So it also helps organization comply with either legal, regulatory, or contractual agreements. So when it's legal, it means that, for instance, there's an SLA, service level agreement, signed between two organizations. The legal part of it also will be part of that SLA. It means that if you say you are going to deliver a particular within a time frame, and if you don't, maybe there are some clauses written there that you are going to pay us some certain amount of money. So those conversations will be written down in such SLA. Therefore, regulatory or contractual requirements, it also help risk assessment also help in achieving those requirements, as the case may be. So as I said, malware, phishing, and social engineering, denial of service, all of these are common threats that we tend to see. I would have loved to explain every one of them, but time is not really on our side. So I will like to probably when we have we gain access to this material, we can look at them and understand exactly what each of them really represents and how to address them, just in cases where maybe in our organization we are faced with such vulnerabilities or such threats, as the case may be. Then we can introduce controls that can really address most of them. All right, module 3 talked about the structure of the management system itself. So ISO Annex SL structure and its relevance to ISO 27001. So the Annex is a unified framework for structuring ISO standards introduced to ensure consistency across standards. And this also is applicable, or there's some terminologies that are applicable to most of the ISO standards together. It could be 9001, it could be 45,000, it could be 14,001, it could be 20,000, it could be 2022. The standards are, there are so much of ISO standard that we have. And the key features of this Annex SL is 10 clauses structure. uniform terminologies, alignment. It means that if you are implementing maybe about 4 or 5 different ISO standards together, no, in that regard, it makes a lot of sense for you to integrate them. And integration means that you are merging all of them together as a single, implementation. But there are areas where there are differences will be identified. So yeah, those areas where there are differences will be identified also will be stressed, properly. But then when it comes to other areas like your +4, understanding the context, and all those internal and external issues, they tend to be similar in approach, as the case may be. So 10 clause structure divide the standard into logical sections from scope and leadership to improvement and evaluation. Then uniform terminologies help reduce confusion when integrating various standards. And alignment enables seamless integration of ISMS with other management system, as the case may be. As I said, there's possibility for you to integrate most of those ISO standard together. So you can implement 27,001 with 22301 or with 9,001 or with 14,001, as the case may be. So relevance to ISO 27,001, it adopts the Annex SL structure to provide a clear and logical progression of ISMS requirements, and also simplify the adoption and integration of it with other standard as well. So key section. So this is actually the key area that we need probably to focus on in the next few minutes. So if you see the clauses, as I said, the clauses are divided into from clause 1 to clause 10. But then clause 1 to 3 are their contextual information. When I mean contextual information, they are just it comprises of the scope, the normative references, the terms and definitions, because they are concepts that you are going to be discussing within this management system that probably a novice to that management system will not have an idea about. So the terms and conditions, which is the clause 3, tend to offer much more understanding to those terminologies so as to reduce ambiguity, as the case may be. Then the normative reference, which is the clause 2, it provides foundational terms and definitions. It explains a whole lot of things about the management system. So this could be applicable to all of the management system itself. So it gives references to, because this is talking about the 27,000 family. Now, remember, we are having conversation about 27,001. It will interest you to know that we have also 27,002, we have 27,003, we have 27,005, we have 27,017, 27,032, and the list is endless, as the case may be. So we have a 27,000 family itself. So the clause 2 tend to, expose us to all of the family, the information about the family, the terms and conditions about the family, because at one point we can borrow an information or a terminology from one concept, maybe 27,003, for instance, and use it for 27,001. So you won't find it confusing at that point. So that's what all these clause 1 to 3 are really addressing. Then when it comes to the clause 4 to 10, they are the core requirements that the ISMS is really addressing. And I will quickly, brush through all of them and see exactly, we see exactly what are the components. Now, the clause 4 talked about the context of the organization. Here, we want to have an understanding of the organization entirely, what the organization is into, the vision, the mission statement of the organization. We want to see exactly the issues that the organization face when it comes to information security, or issues that affect their information security, whether it is both internal or it is external, as the case may be. We want to find out all of these issues. And also we want to identify.
Hello, sir, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I
The
can hear you
network,
clearly, sir.
your voice is glitching.
Oh, can you hear me now, sir?
Hello.
Can anyone hear me clearly? Hello, can anyone hear me clearly? Hello, can anyone hear me now? Hello? Hello, can anyone hear me? Okay, okay. All right, thank you very much. All right. So the context of the organization, as I mentioned, we look at both the internal and external factors that is affecting the information security, and also we look at the stakeholders also. We identify the stakeholders. We call them interested parties. We want to know those interested parties, whether they are internal interested parties or external interested parties. For a banking organization now, we want to see the affiliation with CBN, the affiliation with EFCC, the affiliation with so many other, maybe NDIC, parties like that. We want to see what are, those needs and expectations of the interested parties with regards to such an organization. Then we also want to define the scope. What is the boundary of this implementation? Because sometimes most people will just say, some organization will say, we just want it for the HQ only. We don't want it for all the branches, or we want it for the branch and for the HQ. That conversation will happen. So we want to define the scope, and not just scope in terms of the organization, in terms of the assets also that this information security is to cover. We want to see the boundary. Maybe it is just the environment that you want to conduct this information, this 27,000 implementation. So that scope is defined within your clause 4. Then for clause 5, we talk about leadership. We want to see the top management role, or how exactly as top management, show their commitment to the implementation of all this, standard that we are talking about. And one of the commitments that they tend to show is we want to see the policy, the information security policy that has been developed. How that policy. Initially, I was talking about the components of ISMS. Where we say both procedures and policies are, created as the case may be. Now, those policies, they are actually from the leadership, from the top management. We want to see exactly the areas where those policies are applicable. And also, we want to see the roles and responsibilities, because when we are saying we are implementing this standard, who are the persons that will be handling such responsibilities? So we are looking at the roles, the responsibilities, and also the authorities given to us, because it appointed as the ISMS manager, for instance, and there are so many rules, there are so many activities, especially within the policies or procedures that have been defined in the organization. The senior manager in the office now violates such policy. If the authority given to the ISS manager, being a junior staff, does not carry that that ability to question any, automatically you cannot go and question your boss and tell your boss, sir, you violated this policy. Maybe you're asking for your sack letter at that point. So it should come up with authorities as well. So roles, responsibilities, and authorities. And all of these are done from the top management itself. Then clause 6 focuses on planning, which is management, define analysis and treatment of risk itself. So here is what we look at, where we look at our risk in our clause 6. We look at exactly how we can identify risk. Now, risk assessment, there are two approaches to which we do risk assessments. Either we do it from asset-based or events. So asset-based, it means that you look at all the assets within the organization, or information security related assets, and you conduct your assessments through those assets, as the case may be. Or probably you look at it from event based. Maybe there are some certain security breaches that have occurred before, and you want to ensure that, yes, we put in so many things in place to address those things, those concerns. Then you look at it from Apologies again for that. So Clause C focuses on risk assessment, identifying, analysis, and treatment. Then also emphasizes the importance of setting information security objectives. So when you have come up with your business objective, this is where your business objective must align with the standard that is being implemented itself. Sorry, just a second, sorry. Is where you tend to align your information security objectives with your with your business objective. So every information security objective created is is a thought through process from your business objective. So if your business objective, for instance, is you want to increase brand, you want to be profitable, and you want to increase your brand by 50% in the next 6 months. You're trying to be smart with those objectives, as the case may be. So when we say smart, you are specific. Your objectives are specific. They are measurable, and they
Mr. Trainer, are you there,
Hello, can anyone
please?
hear me? Yes, I'm here. Can anyone hear me now?
Okay, yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So I've been trying to speak all the while. Apologies once again. Apologies for the itch. So let me just quickly round up because I think I have less than maybe a minute to just round up. Let me just quickly round up. As I said, this material is a 3 days lecture, a 3 days class that we are just speaking about in an hour. So I hope and I sincerely hope that we can go back and look into all of these things together and, understand what each of them is speaking about, and we tend to know them for real. Clause 7 talked about support, which is, we want to see what area of support the top management are bringing in, which is in terms of resources, in terms of the competent persons to handle such responsibilities within the organization, then also focuses on awareness and training. It means that at every point in time, there should be training conducted for individuals to know exactly what to do within the space of the ISMS. Then communication should be done also at every point in time. It means that when there is any new vulnerability or new attack or new threat, as the case may be, it should be communicated oftentimes. Then also there should be an approach, a documented approach or policy, and even procedures that guide around how we document our information or how we maintain our information, as the case may be. And clause 8 emphasizes on operation. We describe how we implement and manage the ISMS processes, including also performing the treatment plan and monitoring controls that we have done in clause 6. Initially clause 6, I said, clause 6 is where we do our risk assessment. So clause 8 is where we focus on the treatment plans and to monitor the effectiveness of the controls that we have implemented, to reduce that risk to the threshold that we have defined in the organization. Then clause 9 talked about performance evaluation, which ensure that we are monitoring, measurement, analysis, and evaluation of the ISMS. It means that everything that we have done from clause 4 down to clause 8, we are monitoring all those activities at every point in time to see how effective, they are, and several analysis and evaluation will be done on them also. Then internal audit also will be conducted, and so when we speak of internal audit, is to see if you are in conformity with the requirements of the standard. So that's what internal audit tends to, expose such organizations to in that regard. The management
Mr.
review
Damilare.
is management. Yes, please.
Hello. Sorry for cutting you short. Just my network also yanked me off, so we're actually on a little bit of time schedule, so I'll just advise we wrap up so we can take a break and
Yeah, I'm
move to
wrapping
the
up
next
actually.
session. Kindly just do
Yeah,
a
I'm
wrap
actually
up
wrapping
and
up too.
probably a question. All right, thank you very much. Sorry for
All right, thank you very much. All right, so as I said, 9 focus on performance evaluation, management reviews, internal audits, measurements, analysis, monitoring. Then 10 focuses on non-conformities, corrective actions, and continual improvement, as the case may be. So these are what the clauses from 4 or from clause 1 to 10 really emphasizes on. But the controls, we didn't have time to really speak about them, but from what we have spoken about so far, I don't know if there's any question anyone want to ask, any input from anyone, or any confusion within what we have been speaking about since. Is there any questions from anyone? Or maybe I should ask the question. So let me ask a question. Now, if I did mention about the CIA triad, can someone just remind us what the C stands for? What does the C stand for in the CIA triad?
So I
Anyone want
kindly
to
just
help us? Okay, all right. Okay, I'm seeing Princess said confidentiality. Okay, confidentiality. I was thinking it's commodity. So yeah, oh, confidentiality. Okay. Any other person agree with that? Does any other person agree with that? Okay, what about our A? What does A stand for in the CIA triad? Right. Availability. So I'm only hearing from Stephen and Princess and Isaac. Any other person want to speak about that or just want to, okay, all right, benefit, all right, that's great. And what about our high? What does our high emphasizes on? Integrity, yes. So just know at the back of your mind that these three things are the core principal things that we look out for when we are talking about information security. And just quickly, can anybody name, I mentioned about components of the ISMS. Can anyone remind me of either one or two of them? Components of the ISMS. Anyone want to help us? There are four components that we saw there about the components of the ISMS. Anyone want to help us with it? One. Does anyone want to help us? Thank you very much. Risk management. Risk management is one of them. It's one of the critical things, components of ISMS. The purpose, not really. But thanks for the effort though. It's not the purpose. The first one talked about documentation and records. Thank you very much, Princess. Documentation and record, risk identification and mitigation. Well, you can also say that is the second one because you can see that in the second one. And also, yeah, you're pretty right. You're pretty right. All right. So thank you very much for your response. I don't know if there's any question from anyone. If there's any question, we can take it. And if there's none, we can just end the session.
Hello?
Is there any question?
All right. I would say probably in the absence of no question, would like everyone to give you a round of applause for Mr. Damilare for today's session. I'm sure we all can see that we've been having some minor technical issues with the network, but everything will be resolved as soon as possible. All right. Thank you very much for your patience and staying with us. So we're going to have a break. We're going to have a break for the next 30 minutes just to, freshen up. You can take a little walk and just make sure you'll be back on time for the class to continue.